Hi, welcome back to my channel, Scale Model Kit Review Studio, and welcome back to another installment of the FanHome Millennium Falcon. That's right, this is the studio scale Millennium Falcon from The Empire Strikes Back. It's over 3 foot in diameter. Fantastic build here, and I'm really having a blast building this kit. If you want to get this for yourself, head over to FanHome and subscribe to this today. I put a direct link in the description below. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back to Scale Model Kit Review Studio, and welcome back to another installment of the fantastic FanHome build, the Millennium Falcon. Yes, this is a 3 foot version from The Empire Strikes Back, and you definitely do not want to pass up on this kit. Head over to FanHome today and subscribe to this fantastic build, and it will be an awesome addition to your Star Wars collection. Anyway, I received pack 15, and in pack 15 contains stages 67 through 71. So we're going to keep building onto the bottom of, or the top of the Millennium Falcon here, adding more details to it, and start on the mandibles. They'll be coming in also. Continuing on with pack 16 and pack 17, so those will be coming up here very shortly also. So just to show you the magazine here real quick, we'll go through it, and each magazine has wonderful articles contained within it. Starship fact file, you can see here. Continuing on with that, and then we have The Secrets of Spaceflight, A Smuggler's Guide Part 2. So there's lots of stuff contained within these magazines dealing with the Star Wars universe. And then of course we have our step-by-step instructions on what we'll be accomplishing in the build. A lot of detail, photographs, very nice here. And why don't I go ahead and show you the parts that came with this pack. Stage 67, details for the upper hull. Stage 68, more details for the upper hull. Stage 69, again. And these areas are the upper hull areas where the engines are. Stage 70, one of the corridors. And stage 71, again, more details for the upper hull. Let's get started. Here's the instructions for stage 67, and this issue has parts to cover over the engine bay. But before fitting them, it's time to assemble the starboard rear access and the machinery inside. So we're going to be doing a lot of gluing here with all the greebles and greeblies, or whatever you want to call them. Those were the parts that were extracted from numerous different types of model kits, being World War II tanks and guns with race cars. A lot of them were from Hasegawa kits, Tamiya, and Fujimi, kits like that from back in the day. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to detail the starboard recess, and we have about 15 steps and a total of 13 different parts that will get installed here, and I'll take you through that step by step. Let's look at the parts that came with this stage. Here's the parts for 67. Let's get a closer look. Here's a close-up of those parts, and you can see here this is the engine area, and this is TP23 here, made of plastic, pre-painted and all that. However, I'm going to be repainting my whole kit later on. And this is TP21, Once again, plastic connector for that. And we have some smaller brass self-tapping screws, and it looks like they're designed for plastic. And just to give you a close-up of the parts we'll be assembling, a lot of these parts we received from issue 66 from the previous pack, so you can find that in pack 14. But anyway, we have all the greebles over here. We're going to be installing on the recess here, and you can see the numbers. The key here is to go in order 1 through 13. Let's look at the parts. And here's all the parts I retrieved from stage 66. Just give you a closer view of these. Okay, I trimmed off number 1 from the tree, and what I've done with these, you'll notice there's a attachment point here from the sprue. We call that a nub, and I just take a sanding stick itself and I just sand off those nubs. Now, I'm pretty sure that the guys over at ILM, when they were taking these parts off the model kits, didn't do this. They just cut them off and glued them in place. And so you're okay by not doing this step with sanding the nubs off, but my OCD won't let me do that. So in this case, number 1, it does have some attachments here. It's going to go down, if I look at the instructions carefully, it's going to go in those 2 holes right there. Okay. The instructions say you can go ahead and use super glue for that. I don't like using super glue because it's not very strong through time. The super glue will break and you'll be losing parts in the end. So I prefer something a little more permanent. Since our plastic is ABS based, this is a very good glue for that, but it's very thick and it's very hard to apply because of its thickness, and it can make a mess. You could also use Mr. Cement S. That works great too for melting the ABS plastic. And lastly, of course, your Tamiya Extra Thin. That works great too for this. Okay, you can see number 1 is glued in place now. That's how it should look. We'll take number 2, which is the top of a tank, and looks like they've attached some other things to it also, but that's what this looks like. Some kind of a tank or something from back in the day, and that's going to go over number 1 just like that. And number 3 is going to get mounted just like that. And number 4, this greeble looks like it comes from a gun, like it's an ammo magazine. Pretty cool. That's going to go right there. Number 5 is going to mount right up against the front of that part right there. That's what that looks like there. And number 6 is going to go right here. Number 7 is going to go right here. Number 8 is going to go right there. Number 9 is going to go right there. And number 10 is this little A-frame. It's very delicate, so be very careful when you cut this off the tree. Well, you can see it right there. And number 11 goes right there. And with number 11, make sure that the front of it goes inside the slot here. And number 12 is going to go into this slot here on the right, just like that. And the last part, number 13, which looks like a taillight for a Jeep, that's going to go into the slot right there. And that's what that looks like there. Okay, so that's all we do for stage 67. Looks great. And now let's go ahead and head over and do stage 68. For stage 68, we're going to get more parts for the cover for over the engine bay, and these will all be fitted together. Here's some parts there. We take all those parts, as you can see there on the left, and we're going to screw those all together with some connector pieces. Once again there, showing you what that looks like. Should look like that at the end. Let me get the parts. Here's parts for 68. Get a closer view. And here are those parts. Once again, more armor plating made of plastic, TP24, and this one here, TP22, and the connector pieces. And here's how those panels are laid out: 21, 22, 23, and 24, plus all the connector pieces. And I have all the parts laid out: 21, 22, 23, and 24. Okay, both those panels are put together here. You can see there's kind of an overlap right there. And then we put our connector panel on that, and then our small brass screw will go into that. And that's what that looks like there. And all 6 screws are installed on that connector plate. Turn it over, and that's what that looks like. That's panel 21 and 23 put together. And this is 24 going on to 23. And there we go. All 6 are installed. And we can see how that panel '24 is attached to 23 there. So we have the whole bottom section of that cover panel for the engines. Now we'll mount our next panel, and that will go just like that. Okay, panel 22 is fitted to the top, and then I took the connector panel and I mounted that to the 6 tabs and put the screws in, and they're all secure and tight. Now you can see what it looks like on the other side, how everything lines up there. It looks great. Note that there is an angle to this, curvature, like the dome has, and that's what you want. You gotta be aware of that when you're mounted this, because it's not flat. It's not a flat surface. Okay, there you go. And that's all I do for stage 68. Let's head over and do stage 69. For stage 69, I'm going to complete the main structure cover for over the engines, and that's the parts we received there. And just like we did for 68, we're just going to connect that next panel over here. To get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's the parts for stage 69. Let's get a closer look. And you can see here where that panel is going to be mounted. It's going to be mounted right beside the other one. I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. And the first connector is hooked up there, lined up, and all the screws are put in. We'll put the next connector in, line it up with all the tabs. There we go. Now we'll go ahead and put the screws in. And there you go, all the screws are in on that connector. And this is what it looks like on the other side. Looks great. Again, looks good. That's all we do with stage 69. Let's head over and do stage 70. Okay, for stage 70, we are issued parts for the large piece of upper hull plating that extends forward from the dorsal turret to the mandibles. And we're going to be installing all the greebles for that. And you can see they're all over here. Looks like we have about 23 of them that need to go on. And we're going to do that. Remember, the key here is to do them sequentially, 1 through 23. So they show you that step by step here all the way through to the end. So let me get the parts and I'll be right back. Here's the parts for stage 70. Let's get a closer look. And here they are. There's that large piece of hull plating. Very nice. And the plant-on details are the greebles. Another piece there, and some more of those brass screws. And this shows the parts and how they're numbered. Remember, we want to put them on 1 through 23. And where they're going to be planted on that hull plating. Let's get started. And number 1 will get mounted right here, and you can see it has some tabs right there, and we'll glue that in place just like that. I will use my Mr. Cement S or the Tamiya ABS glue, Tamiya extra thin, and they do call for super glue, but I would not recommend that. The super glue has a tendency to crack over time and your parts will fall off. Okay, I've glued down all the plant-on details onto this. I didn't want to take you through step by step like I did in the past. It just would have been long and drawn out. We had 23 pieces that needed to go on here. And but this is complete. Everything's been glued on. The instructions are very good at showing you how they're installed and where they go. So I'll just kind of show you what it looks like from the top, from the sides. And lots of detail here. I just can't imagine being part of ILM and putting this together with all the different model kits and such. It had to be a blast to do. And they had a big imagination being able to do something like that. So this is great. So that completes stage number 70. Let's head over and do the final stage for this video, stage 71. Okay, so for stage 71, we're still continuing on with the upper hull plating, and we received some more plates, and they're actually going to mount to that hull plating we just completed in 70. So we have some more greebles we need to install on this. Be using some magnets and what they call some rollers with this, and we'll have to use super glue for the magnets. And step by step they show us everything that gets installed here, either glued down or installed with a magnet. And then we'll install that plating piece with some screws, it looks like, and see how that goes. Mostly glue here though. I don't see any screws being used, but if it talks about screws, I'll talk about them. Yeah, it does talk about some screws here. So down on the bottom here, assembling the cover, as they say. And then continuing on, adding some plant-on details with our glue. So we got a lot here, and I'll take it step by step. Not for every detail, but for each sub-assembly that we finish off, I'll take you through that. Okay, let me get the parts. Oh, we got some more here. More magnet retainers and all that too. So let me get the parts and I will be right back. Here's the parts for stage 71. Let's get a closer look. Here's a close-up of those parts. Here's our next armor plating. Very nice there. Part number 14 looks like. TP14. And also another upper hull plating there. And some more greebles. Very nice. Along with some small pins and a couple of magnets and the larger roller magnets. These are magnetized, and it looks like we have about 14 of them. Very cool. Here's the first item we're going to assemble, and this gets magnets glued into it from the bottom. They'll get inserted in there, and what I like to do is I'll take the metal pin that the magnet's going to go to and attract it to the pin so I know it's positioned correctly for the magnet. And then we'll go ahead and put some super glue in there and we'll glue the pin in. Just like that. Okay, the magnets are installed, and they were a tight squeeze. They probably didn't need glue, but I glued them anyway. I had to use some pliers to crimp them down in place, but that's what they look like there. We'll take that large long panel that we messed with in the previous stage, and we'll install the pins into these holes right here. That's the pin. Same thing, I'm going to go ahead and glue those in place. And those pins are glued in place. There you go. They were easier to handle with my set of brass tweezers here. Brass is not magnetized, so it really helps to handle metal parts and magnets with this. Next, part number 2 will get glued in on this. This is the one we put the magnets in, and it's got 2 alignment holes, and it's simply just going to get glued down just like that. Well, after everything's glued in place here, go ahead and test fit it, and that's how that looks there, just like that. That completes that portion there. Now let's go ahead and assemble the cover. Now for assembling the cover, we're just going to put these 2 plates together here, and they go together just like that, and we'll put some screws on the back side. And these are those small brass screws that were provided with this stage. And that's how that looks there. Looks good. Now we need to install some magnets on the back side. And first I'll put some super glue in the cavity here. Take our magnet and insert it just like that. Make sure it's pressed down all the way, and that's how that looks. I've got 5 more to do. or 4 more to do actually, and then 2 more up there. Okay, all the magnets are installed, and make sure you pay attention that you're actually putting the magnets in. They are actually a little smaller in diameter than the rollers themselves. Here's the rollers, and they're not magnetized at all, and they're a little bit larger diameter. Okay, so we're not using those just yet. Next, we're going to go ahead and take the missile mount, and it has 4 mounting lugs, and they're going to mount to this. We're going to go ahead and put some glue on that, and then we'll press that down to fit. And there it is, all glued down. Looks good. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add some plant-on details, and that's coming from this tree here. I'll go ahead and put them on, and I'll be right back. Okay, all the greebles have been installed, and just to give you a little closer look here on how everything looks, just follow the instructions. And of course, this piece magnetized, and it just goes down on top of that. Put a lot of parts on this, mostly on this end here. Hoses and tubing and pumps and gears and all of that. So there was a lot involved here. Very easy to do, but very nice, very gratifying. I really enjoyed this part. A lot of fun. Now we need to go ahead and grab our Millennium Falcon itself and put those rollers, those steel rollers, on the Falcon. We have a bunch of them we need to glue down in there, and these will attract the magnets for our covers. Okay, for stage 71, the last portion that we're going to do here is we're going to add the magnet retainers, or what they call them, the rollers, and that's these right here, as you can see, and they're going to get inserted 4 places right here, and this is where our battery compartment is. Also going to be inserted right here on this frame, and 2 more places over here on the frame. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the sound of freedom. Sounds like some F-16s out of our Air National Guard base here. I'll go ahead and install these rollers, and I'll be right back. And there you go, all the rollers are installed, all glued in with super glue. We'll let that set up and dry. Next, we'll go ahead and test fit the panel we just put together in this phase, in this stage, our pack, and give you a little wider view here of everything, and bring the panel over, and that's simply just going to go down just like that, and it should just go down fine. That's what that looks like. That looks great. So that completes stage 71. Fantastic here. I really enjoyed this immensely. I'll be right back. And there you go. That completes pack 15. I had a blast building these stages. We did a lot here, but it's really coming around. I really love the engine cover here and how that works there. Another one of the plant-on details there. We one of the recessed details. That was a lot of fun there too, and along with this this part right here, we did a lot of work, a lot of detailing there. That was a lot of fun. I felt like I was working for ILM and I was building the Millennium Falcon for them. And as you know, this Falcon is a 3-foot Millennium Falcon from The Empire Strikes Back. There were many different versions out there. I do have a video out there with photographs from the real studio models. I'll put a link in the description below for that video. Check it out. If you're into the Millennium Falcon like I am, you'll appreciate all those photographs. So if you haven't done so already, head over to FanHome and subscribe to this today. They are actively taking subscriptions for this. And don't pass this up. This is a beauty. So with that, if you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel and smash that like button. Until Pack 16, happy modeling and take care.